the previous letter, in letter Yud Aleph, the 11th letter, the Alter Rebbe spoke about believing with a total faith that everything that happens to a person, even in health and wealth and children, all of it comes from above, it comes from God, and is therefore ultimate good. And the fact that it might appear to be bad and painful, to be a misfortune, that's only because we don't see the good. In fact, through this faith that it is good, we ultimately reveal the hidden goodness and turn it into a revealed goodness. In letter Yud Beis, in the 12th letter, which is today's shir for the 8th day of Elul, and it's on page Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, and the number at the bottom of the page is 450. In this letter, the Alter Rebbe continues and shows how through the giving of tzedakah we reveal all that is concealed. We take away the restraints, the restrictions, the tzimtzum that conceals the godliness, and as a result, this kindness that God is doing for us also comes in a revealed state rather than in a concealed state. The Pasuk says in the Novi, in Yeshaya, that there will be the reward for the act of tzedakah, Maisa HaTzedakah, will be Sholem, will be that it will bring peace, Va'avedas HaTzedakah, and the reward for the Aveda of tzedakah is Hashket Uvetach, tranquility and security, Ad Olam, forever. So, so to understand what is the difference between Maisa HaTzedakah and Avedas HaTzedakah, what's the difference between the act and the service, and also what is the difference Bein Sholem Lahashkid Vavetach. The reward for the act of tzedakah is peace. The reward for the Aveda of tzedakah, for the service of tzedakah, is tranquility and security. What is the difference in peace and tranquility and security? So this will be understood. What the sages say in the Medrash on the verse that God makes peace in His high places. So the Medrash says, the angel Michael is the angel of water. The Gavriel Sar Shel Eish, and Gavriel is the angel of fire. The Ein Mechabim Zeh Zeh, and yet they don't extinguish each other. And that's what it means that God makes peace in heaven. Kleimar Shemichoel Shar Shel Chesed. Michael is the angel of kindness. Hanikra B'Shem Mayim, that is also called water. Because water flows from a higher place to the lower place, and that is kindness because it represents the giving of life, that God provides life from the higher world to the lower world, and that is the attribute of kindness. And then there's the angel of Gavriel, who is fire. The nature of fire is that it rises upwards, the opposite of water. He b'chinas hagvura, that is the attribute of severity. V'histalkus hashpos hachayim mimato l'maylo, it is the tendency of life to leave the lower level and rise to the higher level, like fire, or to withhold giving of life, and to conceal it, and to restrain it, so that the attribute of kindness is exact opposite of severity. They seem to be incompatible, going in opposite directions. But but this is only, they are contradictory and incompatible only when they are midas, when there is nothing but the midah. And midah means restricted measure. Each midah, whether it's kindness or severity, each one of them has its specific space and tendencies and properties that can be in contradiction to the other midah. But God makes peace between them, by revealing within them a great light and a great influence. From God, who is infinite, as His name is infinite, Ein Seif, the infinite Eid. So this infinite light is revealed into the middays, but in an endless measure, without a midah, without a limit, but from a much higher place, a much higher light, Chabad, higher even than the level of Chochmah Bina Das, Mokir HaMides, which are the origin of the emotions, of the Mides, Chesed, and Gvura. So that although if Chabad were revealed into the Mides, that too would bring a bittul to the Mides, that they would not contradict each other and they wouldn't destroy each other, but still it would not be the same bittul as when a higher light, higher even than Chabad, is revealed into the emotions. V'azai hamides negdies shel Michal v'Gavriel, and then when this higher light, higher even than Chabad, is revealed into the mides, then the contradictory and opposing attributes of Michal and Gavriel, Nichlol is b'Mekedon v'Sharshan, they become absorbed into their source and root, and there they become literally one. Not only don't they destroy each other, not only don't they contradict each other, but they literally become one. They become completely bottled and nullified in God's presence, which is revealed to them, which illuminates them and brings them together. Then they flow together and they are sweetened, the severity. Then the severity is sweetened with kindness through the intermediary, the factor that harmonizes and tends towards chesed, which is omata klape chesed, himidas harachamim. What is this third attribute that is the intermediary that leans towards kindness? That is the midah of rachamim, compassion. Hanikra b'shem teferes b'divrei chachmei ha'emes. That is called in the language of the Kabbalists and the terminology of Kabbalah, this attribute of rachamim, of compassion, is called beauty. Because compassion is composed of two colors, leven ve'eden, white and red, that represent the two attributes of kindness and severity. White is kindness and red is severity. So in Kabbalah, the attribute of compassion, because it is a combination, a harmonious blend of kindness and severity, which are the colors white and red, where you have a blend of colors, you have beauty. And therefore in Kabbalah it is called Tiferes. The attribute of Rachamim is called beauty. Since in the first two attributes of Chesed and Gvura, there is no beauty because they are stark. Because they are not a blend, and they are not a harmony, so Chesed itself can't be called beauty, and Gevura itself can't be called beauty, but when they flow together as a result of their bittul, when they become nullified and bottled to where they become one, in that they are existing for a common purpose, and that is to reveal godliness, then they become one, and a combination and a blend of colors becoming one creates beauty. And that's why in the Kabbalah it's called Tiferes. And that's why wherever the name Hashem appears in Torah, in general, it is an expression of Tiferes. It's an expression of compassion. Keil is Chesed, Elikim is Gvura, and Hashem is compassion. As it says in the Zohar, the name Hashem is God's main name, and that is because in Tiferes, in compassion, here is where godliness is revealed the most. With a greater revelation than the other attributes of God. Because of this ability to blend Chesed and Gvura with each other, and this comes from a higher revelation, a revelation of that part of God's light that is not yet restricted to any particular quality, any particular attributes at all. In the presence of that kind of godliness, the individual attributes lose their individuality, they lose their separateness, and they flow together to fulfill God's will. So that compassion, Rachamim, which is called beauty, is a blend of Chesed and Gvura, where Chesed tends to give to everybody indiscriminately, and Gvura, that's why it's called water, it flows downhill indiscriminately. Gvura, on the other hand, rises away from the lower to the higher, because it is judgmental. It approves of what is high, it disapproves of what is low, and so on. So it wouldn't give unless it is deserved. Compassion says that although one does not deserve, and although one ought not to give indiscriminately, so that it is not chesed, but on the other hand it is also not gevura, because it says that although indiscriminate giving is not correct, and this person does not deserve, but out of compassion he should be given anyway. So there's a combination of chesed and gevura, but it tends towards chesed. In the Hayom Yom for the 8th of Elul, the Rebbe writes that the Tzemach Tzedek listed 3 things by whose virtue he was successful at the rabbinical convention in Petersburg in the year 1843. One of these, the merits, was the merit of the 32,000 hours which the Tzemach Tzedek had labored over the Alter Rebbe's Maimorim in the course of 30 years, from 1804 to 1834, where the Tzemach Tzedek had set aside a special period to study the Alter Rebbe's Maimorim, and in 1834 the work was begun in publishing those Maimorim.